Alrighty, good evening. We are going to read some more Wishtree. Don't forget, we are meeting next week to talk about our book, so we got to hustle. Chapter 20. After Samar left, I felt restless. Restlessness is not a useful quality in a tree. We move in tiny bits, cell by cell, roots inching farther, buds nudged into the sunlight, or we move because someone transplants us to a new location. When we're a red oak, there's no point in feeling fidgety. Trees, as I said, are meant to listen, to observe, to endure. And yet just once before I said goodbye to the world, what would it be like to be something other than passive? To be an actor in the stories unfolding around me? Maybe even to make things a little better. Bongo, I said softly. Are you awake? I am now, she grumbled. I have a question. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning. How does friendship happen? Bongo responded by snoring. I could tell it was a fake snore. Her real snores are so loud they scare the baby opossums. I'm serious, I said. Bongo groaned. I don't know, just happens. But how does it happen? Friends have things in common, Bongo said. And there you go, your answer in 5 words. See you in the AM, pal. I thought about her reply, but what do you and I really have in common when you get right down to it? With a loud exhale, Bongo flew to the ground. Okay, I'm thoroughly awake now. Thank you very much. What's this all about? Just an idea. Here's an idea for you. Ideas are a bad idea, said Bongo, especially if someone is in busybody mode. I'm looking at you, Red. Back to my question. Why are we friends? Okay, fine. Let me think on it for a minute. Bongo walked in a slow circle around my trunk, considering. I love the way birds move, so unlike trees, we bend with the wind. We're graceful and unhurried. Birds, on the other hand, move in flits and twitches. Their heads whip from side to side as if they've just heard astonishing news. Bongo paused. Well, to begin with, you're my home and I'm your tenant. But that's not really a reason for us to be friends. I've had residents I wasn't particularly fond of. That squirrel, what was his name? Squinch? The one with bad breath? It's not important. Knew it was Squinch. Bongo, I said. Please focus. Bongo gazed up at me. We're friends because we're friends, Red. Isn't that enough? Her voice was small and sweet, not her usual get-to-the-point crow tone. You're right, I said, but suppose 2 people need to be friends. How would you make that happen? Maybe get them together, doing something, they yak, share a laugh, voila, friendship. Am I right? I don't like it when you hmming leads to ideas. You can go back to sleep, Bongo. Thanks for talking. You're a good friend. Likewise, Bongo flew back up to her nest. Hey, be sure to let me sleep in. Bongo? Now what? One more thing. Why do you think people can be so cruel to each other? It's not like the rest of us are exactly angels. Last night I saw Agnes eat a whole lizard in one bite. Agnes, the barn owl who lived with her nestlings in my highest hollow, flapped her wings in annoyance. Hey, a girl's gotta eat, and you're a fine one to talk, Bongo, she said. Is there anything crows won't eat? My point, Bongo continued, is that the world's a tough place. Doesn't matter if you're a bunny or a lizard or a kid. With that, Bongo started snoring, for real this time, but I was still wide awake. Ma, what's that horrible noise? Came the startled voice of a baby opossum. That's just Bongo sleeping, her mother replied. Bongo had been right. He was hatching an idea. She'd always said I was a busybody, not to mention an optimist. An optimistic Badinsky. Well, there were worse things. Trees are the strong, silent type. Unless we're not. 21. Bongo, I said early that morning as the last stars faded like weary fireflies. There's something I need you to do. Does it involve potato chips? Bongo mumbled. No, then I'd rather sleep. It's about Samar. You promised you'd let me sleep in. I didn't promise, you implied. I want to grant Samar's wish. This roused Bongo. She fluttered down to her favorite branch, the one she'd nicknamed Home Plate. Bongo likes to watch the kids play softball at the elementary school. Red, you don't make wishes happen. You're the place where wishes go. You're like a leafy garbage can, in a good way. For 216 rings, I've sat on my roots and listened to people hope for things. And a lot of times those wishes never happened, I'm guessing. Bongo tucked a feather into place. Sometimes that's for the best. Remember that kindergartner who wanted a bulldozer? I'm passive. I just sit here watching the world. You're a tree, Red. That's kind of the job description. This is a good wish, and it's a wish I can make happen. I paused. Well, we can make happen. Yeah, I had a feeling that's where this was going. Bongo glided to the ground. Look, I heard Samara's wish. How exactly are you going to find her a friend? You'll see, I said, hoping I sounded more confident than I felt. Red. Bongo paced back and forth. With each step, her head bobbed forward. We've got more serious issues, pal. Francesca's talking about turning you into toothpicks, and your residents are frantic about what they're going to move if that happens. About where they're going to move if that happens. She came close and nudged me fondly. Of course they're worried about you, too. I know that. Fresh-baked bread poked her head out from under the porch. It was barely dawn, and only the white stripe running the length of her face was clearly visible. I've offered to take in one of the tree families temporarily, she announced. Preferably the opossums. They're better behaved than the ewes. That's very generous of you, Fresh, I said. But I was interrupted by Big Ewe, the mother of the 3 raccoon babies. She was in my large hollow, grumbling under her breath. I beg your pardon, she exclaimed. You have excellent manners. They're too inquisitive, said Fresh-Baked Bread, always poking their noses where they shouldn't be, grabbing things with those little paws of theirs. Well, at least they don't stink, Big Ewe cried, and your children had paws last time I checked. Harry Spiders, the mother opossum, peeked out cautiously from her own hollow. Opossums name themselves after things they fear. Stink is in the nose of the beholder, said Harry Spiders. And while I personally think your children have a delightful odor, Fresh, I've already got dibs on the woodpile, 2 doors down, should anything happen to dear Red. She patted me. No offense, love. Just thinking ahead, you know. No offense taken, I assured her. I saw that pile first, Big Ewe cried. Share the skunk den, Harry Spiders said. I wouldn't be caught dead in that place, Big Ewe exclaimed. Not now. Not that I know my inquisitive children aren't wanted. Well, they are a bit boisterous, said Harry Spiders. At least my children have spunk, said Big Ewe. Your kids faint when they see their own shadows. Playing possum is a useful adaptation, said Harry Spiders, her pink nose twitching. The world is a dangerous place, and in any case, we can't control it. It just happens. If I may interrupt, came a cool voice from my highest branches. It was Agnes. There's a nice-looking linden tree 2 blocks away, just vacated by a gray squirrel family. We're looking at it as a possibility, but there's a tomcat that runs loose there. Collar, no bell, so that's an issue. Also a big slobbery dog. In fairness, all dogs are slobbery, Bongo observed. I really think you should all calm down, I interrupted. Let's not buy trouble. One day at a time, my friends. Who knows what tomorrow may bring? The mothers glared at me. I heard a great deal of sighing. Too much wise old tree, I asked. Too much wise old tree, Bongo confirmed, as everyone retreated into their homes in a huff. They're all a bit tense, Bongo said, worried about your situation. I can see that. I'm worried too, Bongo said in an almost whisper. I know, I said gently, but every cloud has a silver... Red, Bongo interrupted. Sorry. There must be something I can do, Bongo said. You're a good friend, Bongo, but sometimes all you can do is stand tall and reach deep. Red. Sorry, I said. What will I do without you, Red? Bongo said softly. You'll be fine, my friend, I promise. We both fell quiet. At last, Bongo shook herself, feathers fluffing. In any case, maybe not the best time to be granting wishes is my point. I want to write this quote All you can do is stand tall and reach deep on Mrs. Carter's graffiti board. Seems to me this is exactly the right time, I replied. Bongo groaned, her little old man groan. She knew I wasn't backing down. And with that, we began to plan. We executed plan number 1 an hour and a half later, when Stephen headed off to school. He'd gotten only as far as the sidewalk when Bongo drove straight toward his backpack, poking at the zipper with her beak. She cawed frantically. When crows want to be loud, they can be extremely loud. What? Stephen cried. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, bird? He dropped his backpack to the ground. Bongo landed on the backpack, looking up at him hopefully. Chip, please, she said. Stephen rolled his eyes. Seriously? Hello, Bongo said. Chip, please. Stephen put his hands on his hips. Okay, fine. I've seen you in action. Sorry, I lost my space. Working the bus line. Bongo hopped to the ground as Stephen unzipped his backpack. You rock, she said politely. Stephen pulled out his lunch bag and opened it. Let's see, I've got a tuna fish sandwich, carrot sticks. But before he could say anything more, Bongo plunged into the backpack, grabbed a sheet of paper, and flew skyward. Hey, that's my English homework, Stephen cried. Come back here, you thief. Bongo flew high into my branches and landed with a victorious caw. Stephen stalked around the bottom of my trunk where the yellow police tape encircled me. Please, Crow, he pleaded. I'll give you my whole sandwich, please. Bongo perched on the paper, freeing her beak. No way, she replied. A few more minutes of grumbling and Stephen gave up. Great, he muttered as he grabbed his backpack. Miss Kellerman is never going to believe me when I tell her a crow ate my homework. Could you imagine having to tell your teacher that? They wouldn't believe you. 23. When Samar exited her house, it was time for the rest of our plan. She paused, as she always did, to say hello, and Bongo, as she always did, said hello back. But this time, Bongo surprised Samar by landing on her shoulder and presenting her with a mangled piece of paper. Samar took it from Bongo. This has Stephen's name on it. Why on earth do you have it? No way, Bongo said, by way of an answer. Well, I'll be sure he gets this, Samar said. Bongo gave a little caw and headed back to me. Perfect, a simple plan, beautifully executed. Samar would give the homework to Stephen. They'd strike up a conversation about the crazy crow and the big oak tree. They'd laugh, they'd share, they'd realize they have a lot in common. Voila, friendship. It was a great plan, except for the part that came just seconds later, the part where Samar noticed a friend of Stephen's walking by. She dashed over and asked him to give Stephen the piece of paper, and that was that. Meddling isn't as easy as I thought it would be, I confessed to Bongo. Hey, I did my part. You were wonderful, I said. Well, we just have to try again. We don't have a lot of time. Red, Bongo said with a sigh. Please don't remind me. 24. That afternoon, we tried plan number 2. This isn't going to work, Red, Bongo said, strutting back and forth on the lawn. Pessimist, I said. Optimist, she replied. Secretly, I had my doubts, though. Our second plan required help from one of the babies. There had been much bickering over which baby would get to assist us. But then there'd been plenty of bickering ever since Francesca's threat to cut me down. It frustrated me to see my residents, the ones who'd miraculously been getting along so well, turn on one another when faced with a problem. Granted, it was a big problem, but if I could handle it, it seemed like the least they could do was behave during our last days together. Bongo flipped a penny she kept in her collection of treasures, and we arrived at our helper, the smallest baby opossum, Flashlight. Let me get this straight, said Bongo. You're afraid of Flash? Shh, Harry Spiders hissed. We try not to say that word around him. So what do you actually call him? Agnes asked. He answers to Flash. Harry Spiders explained. Well, Flash, said Bongo, you understand the drill, right? You pretend to be dead. You guys are good at that, right? Flash nodded excitedly. Opossums are the best dead pretenders in the world. So you play dead. Samar and Stephen see you as they're coming home from school. We're hoping they come home at about the same time today, I interrupted. And they freak out, Bongo continued. See the cute little maybe dead baby. Talk about what to do. Are you certain this is safe? Asked Harry Spiders. I'm feeling a little faint just thinking about it. We'll all be watching. And Stephen and Samar are smart kids. I reassured her, they'll know not to touch a sick animal. So they go get their parents, call a wildlife rescue, police, or maybe a vet, and while they're busy, Bongo continued, little Flash runs back to his den. Samar and Stephen come back out, have a good laugh about the vanishing opossum. Maybe the parents even get to talking. I really think you should do a better job, Big U complained. She's a born actor. Or you. This has been officially decided, Bongo said firmly. We flipped the penny, remember? Just saying, Big U muttered. Down the street, the school dismissal bell rang. Places, everyone, Bongo urged. This is totally going to work, I said. This is totally going to fail, Bongo said at the very same instant. And action, Bongo whispered. Little Flash waddled out to the middle of the lawn. He lay down on his side and curled up. He closed his eyes, he drew back his lips, revealing tiny needle-sharp teeth. Perfect, Bongo said. Try foaming at the mouth, dear, Harry Spiders called. Down the street, we could see Stephen approaching. Luckily, Samar was just a few yards behind him. Flash leapt up. How am I doing, Ma? Wonderfully, my baby, said Harry Spiders. Mommy's so proud of her little bitty opossum. Be dead, Bongo cried. Oh yeah, Flash shrugged. I kind of forgot, Aunt Bongo. I'm not your aunt, Bongo said. I'm not even a member of your species. Well, that doesn't really matter, I chided. Be dead, Bongo cried again. Flash hiccuped. Oh my, said Harry Spiders. He does that when he's nervous. How come I can't be dead, Mom? Asked Rose Petal. Newbies, quiet, Bongo commanded. Flash, stop hiccuping, dude. Here they come, I whispered. Stephen and Samar. The hiccups got louder. Flashlight, Bongo said. No, don't call him that, his mother cried. Flashlight froze. He stopped hiccuping. Foam dripped from his mouth. His half-open eyes were glazed and unseeing. The works, Bongo whispered. Brilliant. Stephen found Flash first. Samar was close behind. What should we do? Stephen asked. Success, I thought. They were actually talking to each other. Don't touch it, said Samar. It might be rabid. Or it could just be playing dead. I read that opossums will do that. I'll go get my mom. Maybe she can call someone. Sounds good, said Samar. To my disappointment, Stephen and Samar nodded at each other and promptly went into their separate houses. And once again, that was that. All that work for just a few moments of conversation. How exactly do people make friends? How hard could it be? Still, I reminded myself, Stephen and Samar had spoken to each other, and that was a good first step. Wasn't it? Flash, Bongo called. Time to go back to your den, buddy. Before they come back. Flash remained frozen in a little opossum ball. Flash, I called. Flash, my baby? Harry Spiders yelled. Oh my, said Big U. I don't think your baby's acting. My baby, my precious Flash, cried Harry Spiders. And Flash's brothers and sisters began to wail. You really should have used one of my U's, Big U said. Flash, stop being dead, Bongo yelled. She hopped over to Flash and gently poked him with her beak. How dare you peck my son, Harry Spiders yelled. Flash, I'll save you, baby. Harry Spiders dashed out of her hollow scramble, down my trunk, and promptly fainted. Oh, great, said Bongo. Just fantastic. Like mother, like son. What now, wise old tree? You grab Flash, I instructed. Fresh baked bread and Big U, can you rescue Harry Spiders? Pull her over to Fresh's den, under the porch. Harry Spiders called my children boisterous, Big U said. Big U said my children stink, Fresh baked bread said. Over 2 centuries of my life, and I'd hardly ever raised my voice. This was one of those times. Now, I commanded, just as the door to Stephen's house opened. You'd be surprised how fast raccoons and skunks can be when they're motivated. Chapter 26. Stephen and his mother eventually gave up trying to find the mysterious baby opossum. Samar watched them from her living room window, but she didn't venture out. After about an hour, Harry Spiders and Flashlight woke up and returned on wobbly legs to their den. And that was that, again. Don't worry, I told Bongo. 3rd time's a charm. What's that supposed to mean? It's just something people say. Charm, Bongo sneered. Did you know that's what people call a bunch of hummingbirds? No, actually. Hummingbirds. which, let's face it, are pretty much just overdressed flies. But a bunch of us crows together, guess what we get called? What? A murder. A murder of crows. Can you believe it? A bunch of trees, you're a grove, a bunch of raccoons, a gaze. Bongo flapped her wings. But crows were a murder? Are you quite finished? I asked. Sorry, I'm worried about you, and I get grumpy when I'm worried. Bongo plucked out a piece of new grass and tossed it aside. I have one more plan to get Samar and Stephen talking, I said. How about a plan to get you not turned into a picnic table? I can't control everything in life, Bongo, I said gently. And if I could, what fun would that be? But this little thing, this wish of Samar's, I can make it happen. I hesitated. At least I think I can. I don't understand why this matters so much to you. She reminds me of a little girl I knew a long time ago. You're a Badinsky, said Bongo warily, but I love you anyway. She looked at me with something like the crow version of a smile, beak open, head cocked, eyes gleaming. So, what's plan number 3? There's just some leaves on the bottom of that and some grass. 27. Once night had fallen, I sent Bongo on her next mission. All you have to do is untie Samar's wish, I instructed. Oh, she said, is that all? Bongo flew to the low branch where Samara had tied her pink dotted fabric scrap. She yanked on it with her beak several times. Easier said than done, she reported. You're a crow, use a tool. Crows are well known for making and using tools. They're probably the brainiest birds around. Bongo poked and considered. I have a paper clip in my collection. I'll give that a shot. It'll never work, Agnes predicted from her nest. I think owls are secretly a bit jealous of crows. One by one, heads poked out of my hollows, as well as the skunk den under the porch to watch Bongo at work. What's Bongo doing, Ma? Asked one of the ewes. It's called tool use, said Big Ewe. No big deal. Folks, if you can't say something helpful, I said, please don't say anything at all. Bongo returned with a small piece of twisted metal. Straightened paper clip, she explained. Found it on the school playground. With great effort, she managed to slide the straight end of the paper clip into the knot, but try as she might, she couldn't pull the knot free. Almost. Got it, Bongo muttered between her clenched beak. Why is Bongo doing that? Harold asked Agnes. There's no explaining crows, Agnes said. Because I asked her to, I said. Because it's important to me. With a frustrated groan, Bongo let the paperclip fall to the ground. It's no use, Red, she said. Maybe it's time to give up on this idea. I said with a sigh. I'm not meant to help. I'm meant to sit here. Just sit. A gentle wind rippled my leaves. No one spoke. Wait just a minute, said Big Ewe. Maybe I can lend you a paw. You're awfully heavy for that branch, Agnes pointed out. Let her try, I said. Carefully, Big Ewe inched her way out onto the limb where Samar's wish was tied. She was indeed heavy, and my branch bowed under her weight, but I held firm. She toyed with the knot, using both front paws. Before long, she pulled the strip free. Ta-da! She cried, clenching the fabric in her right paw. Well, I did the hard part, Bongo sulked. It was a joint effort, I said. Teamwork, and much appreciated, both of you. You have the wish, said Agnes. Now what, Red? Now we wait until Samar comes to visit, I said. And then Bongo works her magic. All right. I think we should stop there because we've already read for almost 24 minutes tonight. We only have a little bit left of the book. Look at that. We're getting there. We're getting to the really exciting part, so tune in tomorrow and you can figure out what Red does, and it's pretty awesome. I would love for it to happen to me. Let's put it that way. So anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me on our YouTube page. Don't forget that we'll have our book club next week. So come in, talk about the book with us, talk about what you liked, etc., etc. It'll be fun. So see you back here tomorrow.